I've been introduced, so I would like to start immediately with the topic that I will be covering, obviously transcending imaginary boundaries, although, of course, boundaries are both physical and non-physical, real and not real, so I'm going to cover a lot of boundaries. My topic will cover three stories. The way I will explain this is through three stories. These three stories will reflect my values with regard to imaginary boundaries. It's going to be a little bit of a trip, a voyage, and let's see how that starts. Let us start with one. And one, if we go to the next slide, is a story about me and my father. I was walking with my father, and he turned to me and said, "Did you get the best grade at the exam?" And I felt very ill at ease, and I avoided the question. Then he said, "Did you get the best grade at the exam?" He was very demanding. My parents were both very demanding. And I looked at the floor and I said, "I got the best grade of the girls." And he flipped and he said, "The girls? Because math is a girl or a boy? English is a girl or a boy? What does that mean? You are a whole person. You are one. I don't want to ever hear that again." And his words became a lifelong lesson for me to see myself as one. Yes, I had all of these different parts of gender, color, creed, everything, but I was one. And some of these parts were limits, and some of them were the same part was not a limit in other areas. It was irrelevant. And so I could be more than the sum of my parts. I found this out even more strongly while I was working. After my MBA, I joined IBM European headquarters and in Paris. And my first job, not my first, but within a very short period, I organized a meeting. My predecessor, we organized a meeting with IBM country managers, pricing managers, who came to the headquarters. In these days, I'm really old. So in these days, they came to the headquarters. And I was early, and a guy came running up to me, and he said, "Are you here to get the coffee?" I thought, the coffee? What coffee? Where is the coffee? Why? Do I get it? And I turned to him and said, "I don't know. I'm the headquarters pricing manager." He was the country pricing manager. I had to approve his proposal. He looked panicked. And when I saw his face, I realized that, in fact, he was carrying boundaries. He was blocked by a boundary that I had overcome, but he had not. And I smiled at him because that was the gift my father gave me, to try and see other people also without their boundaries. I smiled at him and I said, "Nice to meet you. I hope we will work well together." So I understood that in cutting away, going beyond personal boundaries, individual boundaries, boundaries of being one person, I no longer had to just work on myself, about myself. I had to work on myself about the way I see other people. We all do. And that was an important lesson. So I've talked to you about one, and now I have another, yes, there we go. And now I have another topic, which is nothing, and I deliberately leave this page blank so you can experience nothing. You can see nothing. You can see there is nothing, because nothing did not always exist. In ancient Greece, they rejected nothing. I'm going to take you on a journey of what is nothing and find that it took more than 1,000 years, over 10,000 kilometers, before nothing became an accepted concept, and the boundaries that nothing had to traverse in order to finally break through. Let's go to ancient Greece. Aristotle said, "Not being cannot be." They rejected zero. They rejected the empty set. The Greek mathematicians, Euclid in particular, said, everything begins with one, which is how I began the story. Everything begins with one. There is no nothing. There's nothing. There cannot be. And unfortunately, Aristotle, because of his great importance in the Western philosophy, because it seeped up through the Roman Empire, became the foundation of Western thought. And for 1,000 years, his ideas were espoused. Fortunately, in another part of the world, so his worldview was, it starts with one, and that's the number line. That was the Greek number line for anyone who likes numbers. But fortunately, in India, a man named Brahmagupta formalized a concept of nothingness in mathematics and in astronomy. And he formalized this in a book called the Brahma Siddhanta, which is the equivalent of thousands of peer-reviewed journal publications. It is the compendium of the highest level of thinking on a given subject. And the word sputha means correction, because he corrected the math and astronomy of the time with zero. He formalized how zero can be integrated. Several centuries before, we have evidence that in India, they used zero for calculations. In Babylonia, they only used it as a placeholder, like an empty seat, save it for me. But in India, people used it to calculate. And he formalized this concept at the highest level of science. And this became the birth of zero. But believe it or not, well, the birth of zero means this. To Euclid's one, he added an additional point. And this additional point could then be used to create the full number line. And that was a major, major addition to our ability to calculate and to develop. However, this great invention took more than 100 years to travel out of India. And it traveled, guess how? Through commerce and trade, not through intellectuals, through silk merchants going to China back and forth. They carried zero with them. Through Arab caravans going to the Middle East with spices and exchanging goods in both directions. It was through commerce that this idea was carried to this part of the world. But it took another 200 years before somebody was able to make it accessible. It's like delivering canned goods. It's food, but you can't eat it until he opens it up and, like a chef, prepares it. And this chef was an Iraqi mathematician. He took the concept and he prepared it for consumption in the local environment by writing a book in Arabic called Al-Jabr, which is the source of the word algebra. And it grew in this community. The understanding, the use of zero grew in this community, but it took another 200 years to get out of there. How? It happened through the Arab migration across North Africa. And ultimately, with this Arab migration across North Africa, carrying with them the idea of zero, the Moors, who are the North African Muslims, entered Spain and carried zero to Spain. It enters Europe because Spain was very close to North Africa, as you can see geographically. However, the Spanish accepted this. The rest of Europe did not. There was not only the Pyrenees, a physical barrier, there was a religious, cultural, ethnic barrier as well. And these ideas were not communicated further north. Al-Jabr was written in Arabic. Of course, Brahmagupta, his document was in Sanskrit. But with time, it reached Spain, but it didn't go beyond. And then there was 200 years later, a young man whose father was a merchant, an Italian merchant, and he told his son, you must study these new ideas, these new science for my merchant business, for my customers. And the young boy, born in North Africa, of Italian family, working with his Italian father, bridged the two worlds. He took the knowledge that was in North Africa, he digested it, and he created a new work, the Liber Abacus, the book of calculation in Latin. And finally, these ideas could penetrate. Latin was the language left by the Roman Empire, could penetrate into Europe. But unfortunately, there was an immediate block. Do not enter. As the church said, no, no. These numerals coming from India through the Arab world up into Europe, these numerals, 1, 2, 3, 4, that we know, they are subject to fraud. The 9 can become an 8, the 1 can become a 10. And negative numbers, does this mean you can lend and borrow? That's usury. No. In addition, nothing doesn't exist. Remember? It doesn't exist. You cannot talk about nothing. 200 years after it had traveled great distances, languages, cultures, wars, zero was blocked, rejected. You can call it an imaginary boundary. There were many in this story. And finally, the Renaissance changed the mindset. The Renaissance was a period of, oh, I want to go beyond boundaries. I want to see things new. I want to take the old and transform it. I want to open to other cultures, other ideas, other religions. I want to see man, and that's the message of the Renaissance. I want to see man and woman, the human, as a whole, as the center. Yes, I want zero. Yes, I'll take zero. And zero finally, 400 before our time, 2,400 years ago, rejection, 7th century, creation, 15th century to actually hit home. Now, I've talked to you about 0, 1, first of all, and 0. I want to say that the amazing, for me, story of 0, I've been fascinated even as a young girl by 0. Not because I like emptiness or nothingness, on the contrary, but because the concept itself has so much power. It had power to me when I was 15 years old. And I want to share that power with you, because now 0 is finally at its moment of glory. Let me explain why. Look at this chart. I talked to you about 1, the whole person. What the Greeks emphasized, what we can see and touch, 1. And Brahmagupta, India, brought us 0. But the Arab migration put them together by diffusing them, bringing them across. And what is 0 and 1? It's our life. It's our world. Without 0 and 1, this room would not be this room. I would not be giving this talk. I would not have the phone. I would not have had the communication. 0 and 1 has transformed our world. What a powerful idea that was stopped for 1,000 years. 0 combined with 1 has given us, of course, unfortunately, this was I'll just read it. I'll just tell you. Has given us everything we have today. It's given us semiconductors, which gave us computers, which gave us cell phones, which gave us international transportation. It's given us TV screens. You can see the picture. Quantum physics. There's nothing we do. Science, your health, your life, telecom, robots, electric cars. Zero is the foundation of all of this. 0 and 1. What a wonderful, wonderful world. 0 and 1 has given us everything. Everything. And the story of 0 tells us how important it is for ideas to travel across the world, to travel across the boundaries of language, of geography, of ideology, of religion. That's the story of 0. And so I was so happy when during my lifetime, globalization became a reality. I was so happy. I've lived in many countries. I have many cultures. I speak many languages. I thought, fantastic. Not only am I one person, I'm one with the human race and other people, because it's important. I may be one with the human race, but other people are not looking at me as one. I need to look at them, and now I'm thinking, now other people will be looking as one with the human race. Because as humans, the more I lived in countries, the more I saw the same thing. A need for love, a need for economic well-being, for social peace, for self-expression. It was human. You even look at literature. Across literature, we have the same desires, the same aspirations. I was so happy with globalization. In addition, in my profession, which is helping companies perform better in their strategies and perform in a more sustainable, not only in an ecologically sustainable, but even sustainable, which is what interests me also, with regard to their employees, to be able to pay them this year, next year, and 5 years later, look them in the white of the eye and say, I got your back. That's what I want to do with my life. That was created by globalization. I was so happy about globalization. I also can show data from the World Bank that everybody won. There was no loser. It was a win-win. And then globalization, like 13th century 0, got broken for similar reasons. Hegemony, this is my territory. I don't want invaders. Ideology, I won't mention them. Ethnicity, religion, the same as 500 years ago. I was genuinely heartbroken. I would talk to people about it. They say, what are you talking about? Heartbroken. And so I've taken you on a journey through 3 ideas. The ideas of 1, the self, being able to see yourself fully as a whole, but also to open your heart and have the empathy to see others as a whole. It's not easy. Nothing which struggled so much to be accepted and yet has given us everything. And when we got everything, we seem to have treated it with disrespect, with lack of appreciation, lack of understanding, because we are human, so we're not perfect. And so I would like to leave a message to the young people today. I hope this journey will help you not only see yourself as a whole, as one, but to open your heart and see others with empathy in their full humanity as one. That you will overcome the struggles and you will be the link and the chain that brings change. Because it took a link of ideas and people from Brahmagupta to Al-Khwarizmi, to the Moors, to Fibonacci. They're each chains in a link that creates the commonality of humanity. Be a link. Be one of those who transmits, who relays ideas, who relays potential. Be true to yourself as well. So I wish that you will bring us the 15th century of tomorrow. Thank you very much.